Thank you, thank you. All right, I'm Cindy Cleveland, and I'm practitioner emeritus, which means that I've been studying and practicing for a very long time, and I'm continuing to learn. I've been thinking about, when Reverend Julie asked me to speak today, it was a couple months ago, and I've been contemplating this topic for a couple of months. It's been in my dreams, it's been in my prayers, it's been in my meditations, it's been in my thoughts, it's been in my everyday activities. And so I want you to know that I am so passionate and privileged to be with you today to present this topic, the whispers of your soul. The whispers of your soul. Did you know you're a gem of God? You're a gem of God. Has anybody ever told you that? If they've told you, do you believe it? I'm here to tell you today that you are the gem of the divine. And I know that if we treat ourselves or someone else less than that gem, that it's not good enough. We're being invited into a higher way of being. So I want you to know today that you are the beloved. You are loved. You are love. You are perfect health. You are the wisdom of God. You are the prosperity of the divine. You are peace. You are joy. You are whole, complete. Everything that you need is already within you. You are prosperous beyond measure. You are wisdom. So according to Webster, he says that the soul is the spiritual vital part of ourselves. And if you look at this picture up on the screen, notice all the light. And notice that this light extends beyond the body temple. I loved this depiction of the soul because I think this is what it's really like. And you know, the soul, our soul is eternal. The soul never dies. And Thomas Merton, I found a couple quotes I wanted to share with you today. And Thomas Merton says, "Then it was as if I suddenly saw the beauty, the secret beauty of their hearts, the depths of their hearts, where neither sin nor desire nor self-knowledge can reach, the core of their reality, the person that each one of us is in the eyes of the divine. If only they could all see themselves as they really are. If you could only see what I see in you. If only we could see each other that way all the time, there would be no more war, no more hatred, no more cruelty, no more greed. I suppose the big problem would be that we would fall down and worship each other." Wow. Could you imagine a world where we worship each other? I can. Some say we might not see it in our lifetime. However, I hold that vision because I know the vision pulls. So to have a world where we see the God in each other, the real self, our souls, and we worship one another. Ernest Holmes, our founder, he also has something pretty amazing to say about the soul. And he says, "I know there is a presence that came with me when I entered this life. And I know that this same presence will go with me when I leave this physical form. For it is the presence of eternal life, the life that cannot die. And so I have no fear of the past, the present, or the future. But I am living today as though God really were over all and through all. I feel this presence as life, love, and goodness, and experience its action as power and certainty. It is with me today, making my whole life complete. So Ernest Holmes describes the soul as the creative medium, the mirror of the mind. He says it is subjective, which means that it doesn't judge and it can't analyze. So the soul just says yes. So whatever our conscious mind gives to the soul says, okay, yes, and starts to act on that. I love the example of a garden. If I could see the next slide, please, Eric. And this talks about the creative process, which really is the philosophy of our teaching. And, you know, one way to look at it is spirit, soul, body. We've all heard of that trinity, right? But I also like to look at it as my garden, the seed, the soil, the plant. So this time of year, I start getting pretty excited about my organic garden that I grow every year. And I start now to vision what that's going to be like. And I vision it to be lush and fruitful. And I start to think about, okay, what do I want to plant in my garden? What seeds, what plants do I want to plant? And then come spring, I'll rototill the soil, I'll get rid of weeds. I might put in a little compost, a little fertilizer, natural fertilizer, organic fertilizer. And then I plant the seeds. And I know that when I plant carrot seeds, I'm going to get the carrot plant. This is really, really important. It seems simple, but it's really important. So what happens, though, sometimes is that we want carrots and we plant something else in our mind, right? We want prosperity, and we're planting in our mind lack, thoughts of lack. Or we want health, and we plant thoughts of dis-ease in our mind. So there's a disconnect. So it's so important, I think, to be mindful, like Robert was saying, he's a conscious person, a mindful person, to think about and pay attention to what we're planting in our thoughts. And more importantly, what are we planting in our feelings, in our heart? Because what we feel is really potent also. So anyway, plant those seeds in that enriched soil. And then, lo and behold, I go out there, what do I got? Weeds. So it's like, where do those come from? But what's important is to know that you can gently unearth those weeds, and the creative process can still take place. But if I didn't pay attention to my weeds, what would happen? They would choke out my plants that I really want to grow, right? So that's how it is in the garden of our life. If we don't pay attention, we can plant thoughts of love, say, but if we don't pay attention to the weeds, maybe resentment, unforgiveness, then we may not see that love manifested in our life the way we want to. And I always say, if God seems distant, who moved? Right? So, because God is everywhere present. So when God is distant, it's us that have moved. It's us who have thrown the bushel barrel over the light. The sun is always shining. But on cloudy days, you may not believe that, right? But it's still there. That's like the light of our soul. It's always shining brightly. It's always there guiding. And we just need to be aware of it. Pay attention to it. Nurture it. Okay. So one more thing that I want to say here. The weeds in our life can be fears, judgments, the misuse of the law, unforgiveness. Sometimes the collective consciousness will seep into our own mind and we don't even realize it. Let me give you an example of that. This is the worst flu season ever. There is an example of collective consciousness. If you buy into that, you might have the worst flu season of your life. But if you go to that still place within, that soul of your being, and know that you are the health of God, then you can stay healthy, because that's your truth, right? So weeding just allows that flow of the divine in its fullest expression as you and your life. I want to say one more thing about forgiveness. You know, forgiveness does not mean that we forget something that happened to us that was painful. It doesn't mean that we make it okay that if someone harmed us, that all of a sudden it's okay. That's not what forgiveness is. What forgiveness is not allowing that incident to have any effect on you any longer. So we can still love the people who have harmed us, but we don't have to invite them to dinner. We don't. We can, but we don't have to. So that act of forgiveness is really, really important. And a lot of times it boils down to, gosh, what do I need to forgive myself for? How maybe have I not shown up the way I really wanted to show up? Okay, so the Hicks, the work of Abraham, from Ask and It Is Given, they say something very profound, I think, about this creative process. They say every thought vibrates, every thought radiates a signal, and every thought attracts a matching signal back. We call that process the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that which is like unto itself is drawn. That which is like unto itself is drawn. You might see the powerful law of attraction as a sort of universal manager that sees to it that all thoughts that match one another line up, kind of like our garden. The seed in the soil produces the plant. So as your experience causes you to launch vibrational rockets of desire, isn't that fun? Vibrational rockets of desire. Like, what's your passion? What's your vision? What do you get excited about? What do you really want? You must then find ways of holding yourself consistently in vibrational harmony with those desires in order to receive their manifestation. So I always told my kids when they were grown up, if you want friends, be a friend. It's that simple. Same vibrational harmony. If you want prosperity, know that you're more than enough. Know that you have everything that you need. So, why does your soul matter? Jesus says that your soul is your most valuable possession. How does your life reflect that right now? When was the last time you stopped to consider your soul? Your soul is the real you. What actions are you willing to take today, tomorrow, this month, this year to feed and care for your soul? You know, what good does it do for someone to gain the whole world and lose their soul? What good? What good is it to build the most beautiful home if in the process you hurt people? And in God's measuring system, soul always outweighs stuff. Always. So I have these plaques, wall hangings throughout my home that remind me of these spiritual truths. And one of them is this one: make time for quiet moments as God whispers and the world is loud. Think about it. It's pretty noisy out there, isn't it? With all the social media and television and computers and traffic, and it's just busy, active, going. And so it's so important for us to stop, to pause, to be still, to listen to that precious gift, our most precious gift that's right within us, that light within us. Another one that I have hanging up is a day hemmed in prayer seldom unravels. And I love that song that you sang, When I Pray, Robert. That's one of my favorite songs. And it's so true. Because when you pray, your love goes deeper, your soul goes deeper. Your joy goes deeper. Your life goes deeper. So, what does our soul have to say to us? I think a lot, actually. And I have an acronym here for soul. And the S stands for stillness. Because in the stillness, your mind will answer most of the questions you have if you just relax and be patient and listen. But how many times do we not do that? We're rushing here, we're rushing there. I mean, just look on the highway. Very few of us drive the speed limit. You know, it's like, and then people are multitasking. And can you really multitask? No. I used to think I could. But you can't, because the mind, and I know this as a nurse, I know that the mind can think of one thing at a time. And Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist monk, says that meditation is anything that you are putting your attention to in that moment. So if you are clipping a rose out of your rose garden and you're admiring its beauty, that's a meditation. Okay? So making times for stillness, you don't have to sit in the, in the lotus position and meditate for an hour. It can be really simple. So my sister Nancy, who's here with us today, and her husband Mikey, they do something that is what I consider a meditation that I just love. So when we are over at their house for dinner, lo and behold, everybody's having a good time. We're busy preparing food and getting ready to eat. And all of a sudden, Nancy and Mikey just stop and hug and kiss. And of course, we kid them about it. But it's a beautiful way of just pausing and being in that loving moment. It's an example of stillness. Other things, meditation, yoga, quiet walks, breath. Breath is a really nice way, and doesn't cost a thing, and you can do this anywhere, anytime. And in yoga, we do breathing for relaxation, we do breathing for balancing, we do breathing for energizing. And today I want to share a breath with you and actually have you try it for relaxation. Because my observation is that that's what the world is really crying out for right now, is relaxation. So it goes like this. You breathe in to the count of 4, you pause 1. You breathe out to the count of 8, you pause 4, and you start over again. So if you want, close your eyes, if that feels comfortable. If not, you don't have to do that. But I do want to invite you to do the breath. So breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause 1, breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause 1. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Do one more breath on your own. Okay, how was that? Did you notice a difference just in that little bit of time of just breathing and paying attention to your breath? When I was a little girl, I used to sit on the front porch with my grandma and my aunts all the time. That used to be a spiritual practice way back when, and people don't sit on their front porch as much anymore. I would like to see us get back to that. I loved being in that swing at my grandma's house. We'd sit there sometimes for hours, listening to the birds, watching the butterflies, noticing the ladybugs, talking to the neighbors that go by. It's like, that's another way to be still. Every morning before my feet touch the ground, I say a prayer. And I'm going to share this prayer with you now and invite you to close your eyes and actually be in the prayer with me. Lord, in the quiet of this morning hour, I come to you for peace, for wisdom, for hope, for power. to see the world today through love-filled eyes, to be gentle, understanding, kind, and wise, to see beyond what seems to be a no, thy children as thou knowest them, and so, not but the good in anyone behold. Make deaf my ears to slander that is told. Let only thoughts that bless dwell in my mind. O clothe me in thy beauty, this I pray, let me reveal thee, Lord, throughout the day. Simple. It's a good way to start the day. And then really the only way I'm religious is then I then go into my sacred space for my spiritual practice, which usually is meditation, prayer, inspirational reading, sometimes journaling, whatever I'm called to do in that moment. So oneness, the O in soul. We are all one God. There's one God. There's many paths to and from the one. We're all unique, individualized expressions of this one life. And we're all important to that full expression of the whole. So never doubt your importance. You know that Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life? It talks about how if the main character in that movie is not there anymore, is not alive, how that really affects a lot of people, how he touches the lives of so many people. So just know you touch the lives of many, that you are important. You know, the Lakotas say that all blood is red. I love that. And I think that if we all saw the God in each other, there would be no need for violence. There would be no violence if we all saw the God in each other. Again, it's a vision I'm holding. And then you, the unwavering. The unwavering. The soul is unwavering, unruffled, understanding, always. And there's that place within us, that soul place of us that is always peaceful, always prosperous, always healthy, always knowing. So when people say to me, I don't know, that's not true. Because there is that within you that does know. We only have to be quiet and listen to it. My nephew, James, is here today. And he does a practice in his home that I've observed here lately that I absolutely adore. And he has his Bible open on his kitchen island. And periodically throughout the day, James goes up and reads from his Bible. Just quietly, doesn't make a big deal of it. But he'll go read from the Bible and then get about his day, doing whatever he's doing, cooking or taking care of the children or doing something with his wife, Alicia. It's a beautiful practice. My husband, Mark, is such a beautiful example of unwavering. He is a steady Eddie. And he stands in his truth, and he just keeps moving forward, one truth at a time and 1 foot at a time. And I'll tell you, to have somebody in my life that is that steady and that unwavering is peaceful, it's joyful, it's inspiring. And so that's how our soul is. And then, of course, love. L stands for love. Got to have love. I mean, really, that is what it's all about, right? And we know that whatever the question, love is the answer. I saw one definition that love is nature's way of tricking us into reproducing. And I'm like, is that really what that's all about? So it made me chuckle. However, I think love is way more than that. You know, I think love is caring for another's soul, that we care so deeply, we want the best for that person and their soul. That's love. And the funny thing about love is you really can't love another until you truly love yourself, because we cannot give away what we don't have. So this practice of loving ourselves is really, really important. There's a term, agape love, which means that agape love is loving a person no matter their faults or rough edges, that you just love them for who they are, total package. My mother-in-law, Pat, who's here today, loves in the agape way more than anybody I've ever known. And I don't think she realizes she loves like that, but she does. She just accepts and loves people where they are for who they are. It's really a beautiful thing. So, to truly love is a very selfless act in some ways. It's not conditional. You know, love is not, well, if you do this or act a certain way, or then I'm going to really love you. That's not love. Love is not, you know, if I do this for you, I expect this in return. That's not love. The unconditional love is that you just show up and you love that person, period. No strings attached. And it's necessary to first stand on our own 2 feet. And then once we've done that, then our next job is to reach out. Because we're here for one another. We really are. And none of us have arrived. We're all on this journey, you know. Sometimes life, sometimes life takes us to those really joyous places, peaceful places. I can think of some times in my life when I got married, when I had my children, when my grandchildren were born. Some of those moments in life that were just ecstatic. I was ecstatic. Then I can remember times in my life that were a little bumpy. Maybe an illness that I was experiencing, or, a financial hardship, and we all have them. We all have our stories. So, but it's important that we're there for one another. Really important. And my niece Alicia gave my mom this plaque that's now hanging in my kitchen, lo and behold, that says, God can't be everywhere, so he made grandmothers. And I have the best story of unconditional love that I want to tell you, and it's in regard to my grandson Brody. So I am so blessed because I get to watch my 4 grandchildren 3 days a week. And one day I was watching my daughter's 2 little boys, and Brody, who's 4, wanted to do something. And my litmus test is, if it doesn't hurt you or somebody else, it's probably an okay choice. And our choices do create our world, right? So, but he wanted to do something. I didn't think it was a very good choice for him. And so I said no, the really occasional no. He was so angry with me. And started having a little bit of a temper tantrum, but it was nap time, so, held him in my lap, read a couple stories, sang a couple songs, laid him in his bed, covered him up, rubbed his back, told him I loved him. I'm walking out of the room. He's laying on his stomach like this, and he lifts his head, and he goes, Gaga, I still love you. So it's like, even though, and that's conditional love, even though he didn't get what he wanted, he was so mad at me, he still loved me, that unconditional love. So one of my favorite quotes is from the Bible, from Corinthians 1:13. Love is patient, love is kind, and envies no one. Love is never boastful, nor conceited, nor rude, never selfish, not quick to take offense. Love keeps no score or wrongs. Love does not gloat over another's sins, but delights in the truth. There is nothing love cannot face. There is no limit to its faith, its hope, and its endurance. In a word, there are 3 things that last forever: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of them all is love. How many of you subscribe to the Signs of the Mind magazine? So, talk about a gem. This is a little gem. I've been reading this magazine every day for lots of years. And there was a quote in here this month that I thought really spoke to what I'm trying to share with you today, especially about that creative process. There is then no limitation outside our own ignorance. And since we can all conceive of a greater good than we have so far experienced, we all have the ability to transcend previous experiences and rise triumphant above them. But we shall never triumph over them while we persist in going through the old mental reactions. So our souls are always inviting us to rise above, to know that greater truth, to know that all is well, to know that all is provided, to know that we are loved beyond measure, that we are miraculous beings. And we all have our stories, like I said, and our stories are important. And yet, you know what's even more important? Is how we show up and how we respond to the story. So if life has brought you to your knees, I invite you to stay there for a while. I invite you to stay there and be still, be quiet, listen, give thanks, forgive, and pray. So let's pray. So in this sacred silence, I hear the whispers of my soul, the divine within that says, yes, yes, you are loved. Yes, you are the beauty of God. Yes, you are prosperous beyond your imagination. Yes, you are wise. Yes, you are creative. Yes, you can have what you choose. Yes, you are peace. Yes, peace is possible. And so in this sacred silence, we know the whisperings of our soul, and we listen, we hear that God is everywhere present. And life is good. For God always has our back, and our soul is our guidance system before this world, through this world, and beyond. And so whatever we may be facing here today, this week, whatever we may be celebrating, we know the divine is right there. And we say yes to life. We say yes to nurturing our most priceless possession. And we give thanks for the many, many, many blessings that have arisen from this place of the Most High, our divine selves. And so I release this prayer now, knowing that we are blessed and we are a blessing. And I give thanks for every beautiful soul in this room today, for those who could not join us but are joining us in spirit. And I release this prayer with heartfelt gratitude, peace of mind, and overflowing joy, knowing that it is done, it is so. And together we say, and so it is.